Of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Blue slips, Mr. President. Leader Thune doesn't seem like he wants to get rid of blue slips. Will there be consequences for the Senate if they?
Well, I think they should get rid of blue slips because as a Republican president, I am unable to put anybody in office having to do with U.S. attorneys or having to do with judges. In other words, if you have one, not two, you don't need two, just one. If you have one Democrat senator, where we have a lot of them, you have one Democrat senator in a state, it is not possible to appoint, because of blue slips, a judge. It's not possible to appoint a U.S. attorney. You see that happening. And I think it's a disgrace. I think blue.
What's good, everybody? It's your brother Nubreed coming through with another live stream. And Donald Trump is the only president that would take a grisly murder like the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife and turn it into some type of political advertisement. And he doubles down. He doubled down on what he said. And it's more than insensitive. And I truly believe that Trump is deflecting from these Epstein files. And the reason I say that is because he's doing everything in his power to stay in the media with controversy. With controversy. And right now he's talking about going to war with Venezuela. You know, there's a lot going on in the news right now. And it seems like every time we get steps closer to those files being released, this guy takes to the media and he starts something else, right? And, you know, they're talking about going to war with Venezuela. And I'm going to say this right now. That's not a war that, you know, we should look forward to because, you know, Venezuela practices guerrilla warfare. Same with Iran. And I'm noticing a pattern going on with President Trump. And so here we have this situation taking place. Hold on, let me see here for a second. We have this situation taking place, and there's also some updates. Oh, man, we kind of... Let's clean that off. There's also some updates. Some new details.
One day after famed filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead in their...
That have emerged with Rob Reiner. But those who are just joining, these are Trump's initial statements that are just beyond just disgusting and deplorable. This is what Trump posted and doubled down on for those just joining. It reads, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace." Now, This is absolutely deplorable. And the fact that President Trump doubled down, although there was a lot of conservatives who actually pushed back on what Trump said, shows that he doesn't care, right? Number one. Number two, what is this golden era that Trump has been talking about? This golden era. It seems like an era where if you speak against MAGA, if you speak against the powers that be, that you don't deserve your life. You deserve to be brutally taken out. That's what type of message he's trying to promote and push. Now, there's some updates regarding this case, and I just want to point out that, you know, Trump did double down. He is definitely on one, right? And I truly believe that there's a lot of blood sacrifices happening right now as we speak. For those who don't know, the Mask star, as well as Pulp Fiction star, Peter Green, was just found in his New York City apartment dead. You know, they're not giving us a cause of death, any of that. They're just saying it was Christmas music playing. Telling you right now, man, around this time of the year, all of these celebrity deaths, all these high profile deaths just start taking place. I'm telling you.
He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. Police have arrested the couple's own 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner, in connection with the killings, holding him without bail on suspicion of murder. Nick has spoken out over the years about struggles with drug addiction and homelessness. There is, of course, no indication politics had anything to do with the deaths. The president then doubled down on his tasteless, inflammatory words when asked by reporters if he stood by the disgusting post.
I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. So he became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
Rob Reiner spoke against the white supremacy power structure. You know, in my previous video, I showed you all that. You know, Rob Reiner specifically pointed out how Trump had known white supremacists in his cabinet. And that is a rule that you just don't break within these groups. You know, you as a white male successful in Hollywood, a no-go is actually speaking against white supremacy. So I truly believe that, you know, he was taken out because of that. And I believe that the son was used as an MK Ultra crash out dummy. Yes, he was struggling with drug use. But it's more that meets the eye. These people don't just randomly die around this time of year every year for no reason. This is when they conduct their rituals. This is when the blood sacrifices are done around the winter solstice. Let's go.
There was a lot of reaction to this, really shocked, negative reaction. Let's run through some of it. Laura Ingraham tweeted the following yesterday, quote, Rob Reiner was a legend. His work as an actor and director entertained generations and will live on. We strongly disagreed on politics, but when I ran into him at a Brentwood restaurant years ago, we had a respectful conversation, and he agreed on the spot to come in the studio the very next night. My deepest condolences to his family. She linked that tweet to an interview she conducted with the late director. Also on Fox News last night, Jesse Waters addressed the murder of the Reiners and interviewed actor James Wood, a vocal Trump supporter. Woods offered
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Woods offered a far different message than what President Trump posted.
And when people say horrible things about Rob right now, I find it quite frankly infuriating.
Yeah, all of Hollywood is mourning Rob Reiner, and Trump is, pretty much doubling down on his inflammatory comments. And, some people, have asked me, Bree, why do you keep saying Rob Reiner was a blood sacrifice? People are curious. They're saying, look, all it was his son who was on drugs that just snapped, and he just randomly murdered him around this time of the year. I know that's what you believe, but what I gotta get you all to understand is that these people operate under a certain code in Hollywood. Rob Reiner's son Nick will be immortalized. These people love to commemorate their murderers. There will be Netflix specials about him. This is how it works. Nick was a sacrifice too. But seeing as how Donald Trump is running around practically celebrating the death of Rob Reiner, you have to understand it's all connected. It's all connected. Let's continue.
And distasteful. Did I agree with his politics? I did not. Did I love him as a friend, as an artist, as an icon of Hollywood, and as a patriot? I most certainly did. And I am just absolutely devastated by this terrible event, especially for his family.
James Wood, we all know he's about as strong of a Donald Trump supporter as you can have. Mm-hmm. And I will say it's really quite remarkable when you see somebody who is that critical of Democrats, of people on the left. It's telling. It's not remarkable. It's telling that that's how the rest of us respond. That's how humanity, people with basic humanity respond. Politics is here. Family problems, especially something that ends in this tragedy, is over here. And there's just been universal damnation of really sad.
Rob Reiner and his wife didn't deserve to be taken out that way. The message that Trump put across is basically, look, anybody who speaks against my policies, anybody who speaks against MAGA deserve a brutal death. That's what the underlining message is. We are quickly tiptoeing on tyranny in this country. And a lot of people are not realizing it. And Trump should be impeached. Right now, he's doing everything in his power to distract us from these files being released. There's photos that just recently surfaced with Trump with 5 of the victims. And he's fighting back tooth and nail not to release those files. Somebody said Reiner mocked Trump plenty of times. Well, no, that's not what I seen. I seen Reiner actually questioning Trump. But anyway, let's continue.
Disturbing response and reaction. It's unthinkable. It makes me sad. It also makes me very worried about who's inside the White House, who not only said, yeah, you should put this out, but then they put it on the official White House account. But you have James Woods, again, really, really hardcore MAGA supporter, showing humanity there for Rob Reiner. Laura Ingraham, the same thing. I will say just very briefly that in another lifetime, back before Donald Trump was in politics, and I was considered very conservative by Hollywood types, I sat next to Rob Reiner and and Norman Lear. And these were, of course, two guys.
And and Trump could have just been quiet. Trump could have just been quiet. And when it comes to the death of Charlie Kirk, let's be very clear about this. Our people wasn't celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Our people just made it known that we didn't care. We just made it known that we did not care. And we made it very clear where we stood when it came to Charlie Kirk. See, when Charlie Kirk passed, the world wanted Black people to mourn after Charlie Kirk, while simultaneously trying to swap out Martin Luther King Day for Charlie Kirk Day. a person who utterly disrespected Martin Luther King. You know, that's what the issue was. Yeah, we didn't celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. We just didn't care about the death of Charlie Kirk, and we still don't care. You know, we said it. We listen. We literally was like, nah, 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 nah. Hey, 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 goodbye. Like good riddance to him. But see, the America always wants our people to mourn after these people. No, we're not mourning Charlie Kirk. But we didn't get online like Donald Trump and said the reason why Reiner was murdered brutally is because he was against Trump. That's diabolical. That's ugly work right there. Yeah, don't try to listen. People try to pigeonhole that talking. Well, you black people, y'all was celebrating Charlie Kirk. No, we didn't care about Charlie Kirk. We still don't. Matter of fact, Charlie Kirk was taken out by white supremacists while Charlie Kirk was saying, you know, while he was asked about mass shootings, and Charlie Kirk tried to blame black folks. His last words were gang violence before he got popped by another white supremacist. And y'all expected us to mourn Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was wiped out by white on white crime. And y'all tried y'all's best to make us mourn after Charlie Kirk. And we don't care. And I don't care if that pisses you off. We didn't mourn Charlie Kirk. But we didn't take it to the lengths of Donald Trump post. The reason why Charlie Kirk died is because, you know, he didn't like us. No, that ain't the reason he died. He died because of white supremacy. White supremacy killed him and they're imploding. Yeah. Yeah, I got MAGA pissed off right now, but it's all good. Yeah. All I did was, hey, listen, all we did was educate you on the history of Charlie Kirk. That's all we did. We told you exactly who Charlie Kirk was. Straight up.
We grew up left wing, left coast, and we had very little in common. I will say they were so, it was at Arianna Huffington's place. They were so extraordinarily kind and gracious. Norman Lear, the guy just vilified by people like me on the right for ages. Sweetest man I've ever met. Rob Reiner.
Cannot find.
Unbelievably patient in all of my questions about Spinal Tap.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, like we don't even know if Charlie Kirk is really dead. You know, these people had trap doors, makeup artists, all kind of things going on with the Charlie Kirk death. You had the FBI, Kash Patel, saying see you at what is the name of that damn base over there overseas? If y'all know what I'm talking about, post it in the chat. Ahala is what it's called. You had Kash Patel saying see you at Ahala. Like let me explain something to you. Most of the things you see, Valhalla. Most of the things y'all see online is fake. Most of the things you see in the mainstream media is fake. So look, we don't even know. Charlie Kirk can be somewhere on some military base somewhere. And I'm gonna do a stream on how everything we see in this matrix is a lie. Yeah. Anyway, let's go.
And then I just kept, and I will say his wife kind of rolled her eyes, kind of, oh my gosh, here's another guy asking Rob about Spinal Tap. But they were just the most gracious people in the world. And you know, the Laura Ingraham thing is very revealing. There are times we will say things with people we disagree. We were at an event last night. There are people that attack us, that disagree with us, and you see them and you talk to them. You know, like that's just basic core humanity, it seems in this case. Everybody but the President of the United States seems to have that humanity and seems to be aching for the Reiners.
And the small group of people around him, as you say, enabling this. If your response to the grisly murder of Rob Reiner and his wife by his child is anything other than horror, that's a moment of reflection.
Yeah, Trump could have just been quiet about it.
for you. That's a moment for you.
Trump's response was unsolicited. Somebody said, imagine listening to these two and believing them while running around screeching racism. What kind of man are you? What are you talking about? Let me see. Somebody says Rob had plenty of BS to say about Trump. Trump can say whatever he wants. You know, Rob just questioned Trump's leadership, you know, and we should have the right to criticize the president's leadership. You know, MAGA doubled down. This goes to show whatever Trump say, MAGA's going to follow behind it. At least dirty MAGA is. Y'all basically saying that Rob and his wife deserve to get butchered like that. That's basically what you're saying, but let's go.
You to look in the mirror.
Yeah,
There's a
something's a little
depravity to
different
that.
here.
There's a deep, deep insecurity to that, which is,
Uninhibited.
oh my gosh, I cannot believe what I'm reading. But didn't he say something mean about me once? I'm going to attack him hours after he was murdered allegedly by his own child. There's a sickness, a deep, deep sickness there that was revealed in that post. And then when given a chance later in the day, the president doubled down on it and went on about the Russia investigation and everything else. This is, as you say, Joe, for most of humanity, there's politics where we disagree on things.
Yeah.
We have big, loud fights about those things. And then there's humanity, there's family, and then a murder like this. Again, if that's your instinct and that's your response, maybe family needs to check in on you. Something is deeply
I
rotten
compared to the
there.
first Trump term, there's something very different,
Seriously.
uninhibited.
Wrong.
I don't know, there was something
But it's also
very different.
I guess I hate to say this, that it's not terribly
Yeah.
surprising, is it? I mean, that it's shocking.
I was
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by nothing that Donald Trump says in these days. Donald Trump would do anything to ignite controversy, especially in light of these Epstein files. People are out there saying that even the Venezuela war is being choreographed. You know, Trump talking about going to war with Venezuela. They saying that Trump actually is doing that to, deflect from the Epstein files. And I can believe that. 95,000 photos are set to be released. And we only, 25 photos in? And we already got photos of Trump with 5 of the victims? Yeah, I mean, hey. Trump should be impeached. I agree. Anyway, let's go.
surprised.
It's shocking, no question about it. But then you go, well, yeah, this is kind of what he does when someone politically opposes him. And the fact that we need to
Something different.
stop at the top of our show and point to the obvious, which
Yeah.
is people offering condolences and expressing their shock and horror at this as something that needs to be held up in contrast to what our president is saying, is a big statement about where we are.
Yeah.
Piers Morgan called the president's post, quote, dreadful. A dreadful thing to say about a man who just got murdered by his troubled son. Deleted, Mr. President, of course. Piers Morgan has been a supporter of Donald Trump's and their friends. But Reiner was on Morgan's show late September when he reacted to the murder of Charlie Kirk with empathy. What?
Right. Let me read this comment here. And Rob Reiner, he reacted to Charlie Kirk's death with empathy. Real 80 says, Trump makes fun of mentally impaired people. He disrespects women, the dead, immigrants, blacks, and his own base, calling them stupid for asking about the Epstein files. Right. Absolutely deplorable. Y'all remember somebody asked about the files and Trump said, quiet, piggy. Man, it's disrespectful. And, that's why, America's not respected on a global scale, because our leadership is disrespectful. Now, let's go into Rob Reiner's response to the death of Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk was a strong right-wing conservative who pushed ideologies that I definitely don't agree with. And, Charlie Kirk was definitely pushing white supremacist agendas. He did it under the cloak of Christian nationalism, hiding in Christianity. But nonetheless, he was a staunch a staunch right-wing advocate for blaming black folks for everything. Not a fan of Charlie Kirk, but let's see what Rob Reiner say, even though Rob Reiner was a strong liberal. Let's go.
This.
What was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief what happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems.
A spokesman for Kirk's group, Turning Point USA, wrote this, quote, Rob Reiner responded with grace and compassion to Charlie's assassination. This video makes it all the more painful to hear of he and his wife's tragic end. May God be close to the brokenhearted in this terrible story.
Yeah.
Somebody said Charlie Kirk never said anything pro-white supremacy. Charlie Kirk says the civil rights movement should have never happened. What are we talking about? Charlie Kirk said Martin Luther King was a horrible person. Like, what are we talking about? Charlie Kirk's last words was gang violence when he was asked about mass shootings. Like, what are you talking about? You know, I still don't rock with Charlie Kirk. Listen, I understand not mourning someone when they're gone. I understand telling the truth about an individual. But Trump didn't get online and tell no actual facts. What Trump did was he disrespected that family. That's what Trump did. Trump said the reason they died is for going against him. That's what he said. And that could be absolutely true. The reason they died could have been because they went against him. It could have been a blood sacrifice, a ritual. It could have been a hit. I don't put nothing past none of these mobsters, these government mobsters. This the same man that said he was going to deport Rosie O'Donnell for speaking against him. Like, I would not doubt that hits aren't carried out. Yeah.
Some more reaction from prominent conservatives. Russell Moore, the editor-at-large of Christianity Today, wrote, quote, how this vile, disgusting, and immoral behavior has become normalized in the United States as something our descendants will study in school, to the shame of our generation. Editor at the National Review, Ramesh Ponnuru, has this one-word response to the president, quote, disgusting. Charles C.W. Cook, another editor at the National Review, posted, quote, that Trump wrote this is insane and disgraceful. That the White House chose to tweet it out is pathological. And conservative commentator Eric Erickson wrote this, quote, just thinking about the president's reaction to Rob Reiner's death, a relative last night told me he voted for Trump, he likes Trump's policies, but he is exhausted by Trump and embarrassed by the president's behavior. He wished the president would just go off the grid for a while. Instead, we have Trump going off on the murder of Rob Reiner. The president is surrounded by an evangelical team that supposedly prays for him and over him.
Yeah, you know, this is Christian nationalists showing their faith. You know, I told you, like, these Christian nationalists, their whole belief system is shrouded in bigotry, you know, dissension and malice. They don't really follow Christ. These MAGA folks don't really follow the Bible. These are some of the most evil, demonic people walking the face of the planet. These people are full of violence. They're full of hatred. And these are the real radicals. These are the real radicals. Yeah.
Never mind that his council of spiritual advisors is led by a heretic. There are lots of evangelicals around the man, but they all seem more concerned with what they can get from him and not at all concerned
Amen.
with the state.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you like this: the so-called America First movement that was started by the KKK. Go look it up. Yeah, America First was started by the KKK. And, there's photos of them with white sheets carrying crosses. These are the same people that was going to the Sunday school, going to the church, and then they were burning crosses in front of our yards. Yeah. These are the Christians that's in the White House. Those are the Christians that's in the White House. Yeah, go look it up, Mag. I see y'all in here. Y'all are irritated. Why y'all so upset? Have I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Let's do your research. Let's go.
Of his
Amen.
soul and where he
Amen.
will spend eternity beyond
Jonathan,
beyond
O'Meara,
this life.
this is, again, we talked about James Wood. Again, we got a guy, fierce MAGA supporter, showing empathy for the Reiners for good reason. Laura Ingraham, Jesse Waters, Fox News hosts, Republicans, everybody, just about everybody. But the one that I want to ask you about, because you cover the White House, is what Charlie Cook with the National Review said. And he said, for Trump to tweet it out, I think he said it was disgusting. For the White House to retweet it was pathological. Tell me, how did that happen? How we hear about Susie Wiles all the time. Mm-hmm. I just got to ask, where was Susie Wiles? Where was any grown-up in the White House? Where were they? Where were they? They had to know that even for this president, who aggressively goes after it.
Yeah, they had to know that was low, but Trump is a dictator, and everybody, y'all got to understand, when the government got shut down, he was already getting rid of the people who was going to give him any pushback. That's what those layoffs was about. Anybody who displayed any resistance is already out of the White House. Everybody that's in there right now, they in full agreement with whatever Trump does and says, right? Y'all got to understand that. So ain't nobody holding him accountable in there. Michelle says, I don't blame you. I fell for it at first, but you really need to read your comments. Everything you have said, I looked into it, and ain't none of what's coming out of your mouth the true story. All right, well, we're going to go to that. Because, Michelle, I'm going to shake your little world up. I'm going to shake your world up about America First, because I know that's what you're talking about. See, a lot of you Christian nationalists out here, y'all in denial. Y'all in denial about the origins of your entire belief system, but I come here today to shatter your beliefs so you can come to the truth. And you can come to the Bible as it is really written. All right?
His critics, who's broken barriers time and time
You just stick around, Michelle. I'm going to show and prove.
again. But even for this president, with the low standards that he's allowed to get by on, somebody in that White House had to know this would cause conservatives, this would cause his most fierce supporters in the MAGA base to be deeply disturbed at how much it would damage him. This is not about hurting libs. This isn't about libs. This is about Donald Trump hurting Donald Trump. Donald Trump hurting the White House. Donald Trump hurting the MAGA base. Like Eric Erickson said, people in the MAGA base are exhausted by this. Who is in the White House who can say, Mr. President, you can't send that out?
I mean, how many of you Christians in here, you Christian nationalists, because that's what you are, that's your beliefs. How many of you Christians in here agree with what Trump posted? By show of ones, all of you Trump supporters that's in the building today, how many of you all agree with what Trump posted? By show of ones, what he posted about Rob. Let's go.
This has been one of our themes in this last month or two, as the president has really been in a political slump. There's no one in the White House tell him no, and that's by design. Social media account is the president himself or Dan Scavino, who's one of his longtime advisors. They're the ones who have the keys to this. But someone in the White House response staff, they put it out. The reflexive instinct is just to fight, to double down on whatever the president says. This should not be a challenging moment. This is a moment to be a human, to express sympathy, horror, sadness, and he's simply not able to do it. When that Truth Social post came on, it came just before we came off the air yesterday. I literally gasped on air, and I'm the one who always reads the Truth Social post. I am rarely surprised.
Yeah, even a lot of MAGA supporters were shocked with that post. Real 80 says they say Jesus is king, code for the affiliation with white supremacists, like Nick Fuentes. Some may not know the origins of the term, but are complicit. Look up Jesus is king campaign origins, right? See, that's all you got to do, brothers and sisters, is do your research. And see, these are some of the things I'm going to show y'all, because clearly a lot of y'all are unaware of these things, but we're going to get y'all right. We're going to get y'all right. Because what I'm about to tell you is something very important. And this may really make you feel unsettled, but it's the truth. Jesus Christ is black. Yeah, Jesus Christ is a black man. That's right. The Lion of the tribe of Judah, in fact. Skin of bronze, hair of wool, in fact. So, you need to read your Bible. You need to read your scriptures. He hid amongst the Egyptians to escape Roman persecution. Now, how could he hide amongst the Egyptians if he was a white man? Impossibility. That's an impossibility. Jesus Christ was black. He would have stood out like a sore thumb. And we know the Egyptians were black because y'all cut the noses off the Sphinx. Christ had to hide amongst the Egyptians because he had a dark hue. Yeah, Jesus Christ was black. Yep. All y'all got to do is go on Google right now and search up America First KKK. Search up America First KKK. Google it. Tell me what y'all find.
By what he says. I was yesterday, and it was right at the end of the show, so we didn't talk about it then because it was so outrageous. I thought maybe this one was a hoax.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to double check this.
I think a lot of his supporters said throughout the day they thought it was a hoax, and then they came back and they said sadly, we looked at it. This isn't a hoax, Mr. President. Please take this down. That's from his supporters.
No, then he said it.
Yeah, and that's just it. After hours of outrage about this, including from Republicans, he then in the afternoon to reporters doubled down on it. And two things. The only defenders I found of this is a really hardcore, like Laura Loomer defended it, and a few people like that. But usually even acolytes of President Trump distance themselves from.
So yeah, some people distance themselves. Now what I gotta do is, let's sit that there real quick. Let me help y'all out, MAGA. Cause y'all think that we just be making stuff up. I don't know. I don't know what's up with y'all, but let me help y'all out real quick. Let's do this. You see this? This is America First. Yeah, this is America First. Hold on now. Look, Jesus saves. Yeah, this is the origin of America First. Oh, you didn't know this? Hold on, y'all didn't know this? Hold on real quick. Come on, man, with the ads. Hold on, let me show y'all a little something. Let me educate y'all on something real quick. Man, come on, Wikipedia. What is all of this? They trying to charge for Wikipedia now? All right, this is stupid. Anyway, hold on. Yeah, this is. Look at this. Yeah. America First denotes a set of policies in the United States that emphasizes taking foreign policy and domestic policy decisions which serve the interests of the United States before the interests of all the other nations. Now, a lot of you all thought when y'all heard America First, you thinking it's just Trump just saying America First. No, this is an actual organized group. It's an organized group. Matter of fact, hold on, let me do something real quick. Okay, is that going through X right there? Hold on real quick. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Hold on. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do, because now y'all got me in education mode. Let me see. And y'all give me one moment. Okay, that's not going to. All right. Okay. Man, hold on real quick, y'all. Matter of fact, there's full documentaries on this too. Full documentaries on it. You see this? Oh, hold on. This is America First. Y'all see that? Y'all see they got the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible's right there. A burning cross. Do y'all know what these look? The same ones that's in the White House now claiming to be Christians. These are the same ones that started America First. Oh, y'all think you think I'm just saying things. America, what does it say right here? Hold on. No. No, slow down for a second, y'all, because Nubreed, he's just making things up. What does this say right there? All my MAGA people in here watching, what does this say right here? Come on now, y'all see it says America First. One God, one country, one flag. They walking around with sheets. Now, people keep saying these are Democrats, but guess who's pushing America First right now? The Republicans. They all, listen, y'all be thinking because I'm going in on white supremacy that I pick one side or the other. I don't care. They're all racist. Look, America, who's pushing America First right now? Look, America First, Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux Klan. Hold on, let me show y'all something, because y'all just think it's all a game, right? Let me see if I can get in my other get in that profile. Look, MAGA, y'all got quiet after that one. Y'all got mighty quiet after that one. Hold on. Let me show y'all something else here. Oh, man, this thing is tripping, man. Hold on. I can't even log into my X account, bro. This John is tripping. I'm gonna have to do a detailed lesson on this because right now I'm just not prepared. This is not what I prepared for. But it's like I see y'all's comments and it's like y'all really not educated on what's really happening. It's like y'all really not educated on this. Yeah. Anyway, I can't do that right now. I just can't do it. It is what it is. I can't do it. I got issues with my damn laptops, all kind of stuff going on. I can't even log in on everything. Anyway, bottom line is y'all know what America First is about. And if I got to minister information, it'll be easier if you email me stuff right now. Cause I can't open the inbox on the phone because I'm streaming from the phone. But anyway, it is what it is, man. I just wanted to come through with this quick broadcast. I got more material coming. I kind of lost touch of y'all for a second, but anyway, sometimes I get into these rabbit holes because I mean, I'm surprised people really don't know the origins of America First and that these people are really fake Christians in the White House. But anyway, nonetheless, man, I got more material coming. Y'all be blessed. Peace.